New York State Racing, Parimutuel Wagering and Breeding Law, Section 102 provides that the New York State Gaming Commission shall consist of 7 members appointed by the governor by and with the advice and consent of the Senate. 5 members having been confirmed by the New York State Senate affords the Commission an ability to establish a quorum and undertake action. This present meeting of the Commission is now called to order. Ms. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
John Crotty.
Here.
Peter Machete.
Here.
John Baklemba.
Here.
Barry Sample.
Here.
Todd Snyder.
Here.
Ms. Secretary, please have the record reflect that a quorum of qualified members are present, thus enabling the transaction of business. Please also note that two-way audio-visual communications have been established between the 2 meeting locations. Given the absence of a designated chair, would the members like to select someone for the purpose of presiding over today's meeting?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Crotty.
Second.
Commissioner Crotty.
Again, I'm overwhelmed by your confidence, gentlemen. The minutes of the meeting of the commission meeting conducted August 30th have been provided to the members in advance. This time, are there any edits, corrections, or amendments? Hearing none, please let the record reflect the minutes were accepted.
As circulated.
As circulated. Next on the agenda is a report from Executive Director Rob.
This afternoon, I want to provide an overview regarding the development status of the 4 commercial casino projects, discuss an upcoming minority and women-owned business enterprise forum, touch upon an accreditation recently received by the New York Equine Drug Testing and Research Laboratory, and update where we are in the harness rulemaking process. First, as to the casino development process, Del Lago has 2 defined areas of construction. The initial stage of construction includes the casino, the event center, back-of-house area, all restaurants housed within the casino event center building, the parking garage, and the hotel shell. The final stage of construction includes the interior hotel build-out. The facility is on schedule to be substantially completed by January 1st, 2017, at which time they will enter the final phase of construction. They remain on track for an opening in February of 2017. The hotel is now 1 month ahead of schedule and on track to open in the early summer. To date, they report being cumulatively 79% complete. As to the specifics of their construction, the rough grading is complete. Topsoil and installations are at 75% complete and on schedule to be completed by October 15th. Parking lot asphalt is ongoing, and 50% of the parking lots are complete and striped, and all will be 100% complete by November 1st. The casino exterior envelope, exterior insulation finishing is 98% complete, and cultured stone is 98% complete. Window installation is also started. With respect to the interior, metal framing is at 90% complete. Drywall, walls, and ceilings are 80% complete. Ceiling vaults are 80%, and paint, stone, tile, and faux finishes are all underway. The hotel concrete was completed on August 19th, and exterior metal framing is at 80% complete. Windows are scheduled for delivery on November 7th and will take about 4 weeks to install there. The precast parking garage erection is complete and the interior lighting and finishes have started. The parking garage will also be completed prior to casino opening. Del Lago reports that in the last month they have expended approximately 105,000 construction hours. Rivers Casino is also progressing on schedule. If you remember, that is 2-phase construction. Phase 1 is a low-rise building and consists of the casino, the back-of-house offices, the warehouse, event center, and garage. Phase 2 is the hotel building. Phase 1 steel and miscellaneous metals are 87% complete, and concrete is 82% complete. Rivers reports other completion percentages for several of the major construction components: 93% in roofing, 99% in fireproofing, 65% in framing and drywall, 67% in plumbing, and 61% in HVAC. Rivers also reports the precast of the garage is now 97% complete, and the project is now 55% complete overall. As to Phase 2, the hotel, site work is 96% complete, concrete 65%, steel at 92%. Elevators are at 35% complete, and overall, the hotel is 14% complete. To date, the overall project has produced over 220,000 construction hours. Montrain reports that they have fully completed the mass excavation and are at 72% for site retaining walls, 94% with site utilities, 97% with the foundations, excavation, and site grading, and 98% complete with the precast concrete structure parking garage. By the end of the month, Montrain reports that they will have started roofing, fireproofing, erection of the curtain wall for the podium, and installation of the exterior shell for both the east and west podiums and the hotel. Overall, they are at 27% complete. Montrain reports that during the month of August, they have expended almost 31,000 union construction hours on site. Tioga, which is operated by American Racing and Entertainment, also has made a report on their construction, which includes the development of a hotel and amenity buildings and 2 restaurants. They state that they are proceeding on schedule and are presently under budget. Virgil's Barbecue restaurant construction has been completed and the restaurant opened on August 2nd. The casino expansion, which is Phase 1 of the project, is 90% complete. Phase 2 of the project, which is a new hotel and amenities building, is now 5% complete, having the groundbreaking just last month. On August 10th, a portion of the casino expansion was completed and Tioga moved approximately 260 video lottery terminals into the new area of the expansion. The move allows remodel work of the existing casino to commence. Other work that has been completed are offices and a main stage outside that will be used to host the future poker room. During the month of August, they report some 8,200 construction hours were worked at the facility. Commission representatives will again be participating in the New York State 6th Annual MWBE Forum, which is scheduled to be conducted on October 5th and 6th in Albany. One of the articulated goals of the Upstate New York Gaming Economic Development Act of 2013 was to provide opportunity in all phases of casino development and operation to minority and women-owned businesses. All 4 facilities have been very diligent in making a good faith effort to reach Governor Cuomo's 30% MWB utilization goal. From the beginning of each respective project through the first quarter of this fiscal year, we have seen utilization rates range from a low of 25.77 to a high of 37.9%. Overall, there has been an aggregate construction spend of $110 million, and 30.6%, or $33.1 million, has gone to qualified MWBEs. Based on the future anticipated construction spend, it can be reasonably expected that another $238.8 million of spending will be driven to MWBEs. At the upcoming forum, Commission representatives will be participating in a session that will identify future opportunities for MWBE businesses as we end the construction phase and enter the operating phase of casino gaming. And while this information has been disseminated widely since our last meeting, I do want to specifically call attention to the recent accreditation received by the New York Equine Drug Testing and Research Laboratory. As you're aware, the Commission contracts with the State University of New York at Morrisville Auxiliary Corporation, which operates the laboratory. The Horse Racing Testing Laboratory Committee of the Racing Medication and Testing Consortium, or RMTC, met in early September and voted to fully accredit the laboratory. This is the second major accreditation for the laboratory. In 2014, it received ISO 17025 certification, the international standard for analytical laboratories, for technical competence in the field of chemical testing by the American Association for Laboratory Accreditation. Finally, I want to update a little bit on the status of harness rule changes that we've previously discussed earlier this summer. Staff continues to work on various rule proposals and amendments, and these will include a reorganization of the PIC 3, PIC 4, and PIC 5 and PIC 6 in a manner undertaken for thoroughbred racing to make them consistent by eliminating discrepancies that arose when such wagers were authorized and amended over a period of years. Staff is also considering other rule changes to assist in making harness racing regionally competitive, such as perhaps authorizing a pick 4 carryover, and also looking at the superfecta rules and changing those to be a little bit more competitive as well. We anticipate heading for a pre-proposal industry comment in October and expect to have a full package before the Commission at the November meeting.
That's great. On the casino side, when we were up there, they were lining up their sort of permanent or last gap of financing. Have they done that?
Everyone has the financing finalized except for Montrain, which is still in the process of working through that.
That's who you were referring to.
Montrain, yeah.
Montrain is still doing that. I think in large measure they may be awaiting the results of the New Jersey referendum
I'm sorry.
to finalize their financing.
I mean, whether the northern New Jersey casinos are going to go into that.
Which, as most recent news articles indicate, that's problematic.
They're more attractive if there is not casinos
Correct.
in northern Jersey.
Correct.
Does that change your yield or just the money?
Just the money.
Sounds great. Next, we're on the rulemaking. New York State Racing, Pari-Mutuel and Wagering and Breeding Law authorizes the Commission to promulgate rules and regulations that deems necessary to carry out its responsibilities. To that regard, the Commission will from time to time promulgate rules and rule amendments pursuant to the State Administrative Procedure Act. Today, we have 4 items for consideration. Rob, would you be kind enough to outline the first one?
Certainly. For Commission consideration are proposed amendments to the rules for licensing and registration of gaming facility employees and vendors. As you may recall, the Commission previously authorized the proposal of Parts 5303 through 5307 on July 6, 2015, and authorized the adoption of such proposed rules on September 10, 2015. During the licensing process, staff had several conversations, both within the agency and with prospective licensees, about clarifying some aspects of the regulations, and believes that several amendments were warranted. These clarifications include, among other things, requirements for updating a submitted application, the process and circumstances under which an applicant is denied a license or registration, or a licensee or registrant whose license or registration has been revoked may reapply, the statutory disqualification criteria for applicants for a non-gaming employee registration, the term for a non-gaming employee registration, and which vendors who are not required to be licensed or registered. Staff made 2 non-substantive changes to the proposed text since the Commission authorized its proposal. Section 5303.17 is now deleted as a redundancy to statute, and the language of Section 5305.1 was corrected to appropriately reference gaming employee registration. The proposal of this rule text was authorized at the Commission's July 25, 2016 meeting. The text of the proposed rule was published in the State Register on August 10th, meaning that the public comment period expires at the close of business today. 2 comments have been received thus far, both from legal representatives of licensees. One comment lauded the inclusion of fields of commerce licensing exceptions. The other commenter requested several changes, including a few to the employee registrant process. Commission staff has considered this latter comment and believes that the suggested changes require examination, especially as they relate to the review of certain past transgressions. Consideration of the recommended changes means the full rule proposal is no longer ripe for consideration. Rather, staff recommends that the Commission adopt that portion of the rule proposal unaffected by the comments as a permanent rule. Specifically, staff recommends adoption of all proposed amendments excepting those contained in Section 5305 and 5306. Obviously, any alteration to those 2 rules will require further rulemaking action by this Commission. Additionally, in the event of any subsequent comments received before the close of business today, staff will promptly inform each Commissioner.
Commissioners, any question about the adoption of amendments to our license and registration of gaming facilities employees and vendors rule? Subject to no receipt of substantive comments before the close of business today. May I have a motion to adopt these rules?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
This is with the exception of 5305 and 5306,
Yes,
correct?
the motion should be to adopt these rules, accepting those amendments contained in 5305 and 5306. Correct.
The motion carries. Rob, we have another item.
For commission consideration of proposed rules in regard to alcoholic beverages for casinos. New York Racing Parimutuel Wagering and Breeding Law, Section 1340, gives the commission jurisdiction over casino alcoholic beverage licensing and requires the commission to regularly consult with the state liquor authority or its designee on all licensing and enforcement matters. Additionally, the law incorporates the state alcoholic beverage control law and the regulations, rules, bulletins, orders, and advisories promulgated by the state liquor authority, while allowing the commission the ability to grant variances to accommodate for the uniqueness of the gaming facilities. The proposed part addresses the issuance of casino alcoholic beverage licenses by the commission, the restrictions and limitations that may be placed on the license, and the duration of the license. In drafting these regulations, staff consulted with the state liquor authority and solicited and reviewed plans from the 4 licensed gaming facilities for providing alcohol to patrons in their facilities. Staff recommends that the commission authorize the proposal of this rulemaking.
Are there any questions on the proposal of rules governing casino alcoholic beverages?
These rules would only apply to the 4 authorized casinos, that's it?
That is correct.
Anyone else? May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Rob, if you could outline the third item.
For commission consideration of proposed additions to the general section of the casino gaming regulations to address certain matters that statutes either direct the commission to regulate or give the commission discretion to regulate. The first of these amendments concerns a statutory requirement to provide the method of notice to be provided to an applicant, registrant, or licensee in regard to the release of information or data provided to the commission from any applicant, registrant, or licensee. The proposed rule sets forth posting on the commission's website as the method of such notice. The second of these amendments addresses how the commission will interpret which gaming facility employees are subject to the prohibitions on employee wagering. Pre-proposal comments were solicited from the 4 gaming facility licensees and incorporated as staff considered appropriate. Staff recommends that the commission authorize the proposal of this rulemaking.
Being proposed for public comment.
Correct.
Commissioners, any questions on the proposal of casino gaming general provision rules? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Rob, if you could outline the fourth item.
For commission consideration are proposed rules for electronic table game systems. Electronic table games are similar to table games, but players make wagers through electronic systems rather than with dealers. The proposed rule addresses the technical standards for certification of such systems, set forth requirements for communications protocols, system integrity, random number generators, maintenance of critical memory, player interface terminals, and notification in case of non-conformance. Staff recommends that the commission authorize the proposal of this rulemaking.
Any questions on the proposal?
Would these games be active in all 4 licensed
I
casinos?
believe all 4 are looking to place them within their facility.
Thank you.
Why do they need these? They have similar games already set up, right? In Aqueduct?
Those would be
Those are video lottery gaming.
in video lottery facilities, so they're a separate regulated.
They have table
account.
games sort of
They will
thing.
have, right, they will all have table games. This is an electronic version of table games that has grown in popularity in different commercial casino contexts as people prefer to play an electronic version of something as opposed to having live dealers.
I think this is really just we're just mimicking the rule for these casinos, right?
And well, and these are more setting forth regulations for the technical standards of how they're tested for integrity and before they're rolled out on the floor.
How do we know that the random number generator
Yes.
is generating
Well,
numbers?
Exactly, and it's keeping the data that needs to be retained, et
Did we
cetera.
have a
Yeah.
slight issue with that several years back? There was a table game out in Aqueduct that misperformed.
Yeah, every once in a while, there's code errors. We also had something at Yonkers that was similar, that required adjustments to the code by the vendor for the video lottery gaming operators as well.
Are these games available at the Indian casinos?
They're not right now.
Would they be if we passed this?
Yeah, any game or procedure that the commission approves will have the ability to be asked for by the Indian tribes.
So it wouldn't be automatic, they'd have to come to us?
We would have to provide it to the tribes, then they would be able to pick or choose as to whether they accept it. But there's an affirmative obligation on behalf of the compacts for us to supply those new changes to the various tribes.
So if we were to adopt this particular regulation after the comment period, it would automatically be available to the Indian casinos?
That is-
You have to put them on notice within a reasonable time.
The compacts don't say that, but we have been providing them with rules as we've gone through the rulemaking process, so they would be aware of that.
All right. Well, any other comments? I may have a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. All right. We have a couple adjudications today. Mr. Williams, if we could, what's that?
The first is in the matter of Anthony A. Cifatelli. The presiding judge at Saratoga Raceway fined standardbred trainer Anthony Cifatelli $250 for failing to honor his declaration to race the horse Star-Studded Cast in the 5th race on June 19, 2016, in violation of commission rules. Mr. Cifatelli paid the fine and requested a hearing, which was conducted on August 17th. The hearing officer's final report and recommendation were delivered to the commission secretary on September 2nd. The hearing officer recommended that the fine be upheld. Pursuant to, the commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
We did duly deliberate on this matter and determine on a vote of 5-0 to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendation. Now we go on to the matter of Mr. Hoffman.
In the matter of Alan Hoffman, on May 19, 2016, the commission issued a summary suspension of standardbred groom Alan Hoffman following a post-race positive for cobalt at Monticello Raceway. The commission alleged that Mr. Hoffman actually trained the horse, Baltimore AS, which raced on March 16th, finishing 3rd, by using a front trainer or beard. The summary suspension cited violation of commission rules against the administration of cobalt and trainer misrepresentation. As you recollect from previous discussion, the adjudication of the trainer of record or alleged beard, Dennis Washington, is in progress. As to the present case, Mr. Hoffman failed to appear at a hearing scheduled June 20th, which resulted in the hearing officers declaring default. Upon subsequent motion by Mr. Hoffman, the hearing officer reopened the adjudication and scheduled additional hearing time. Before the scheduled date of the additional hearing, Mr. Hoffman wrote to the hearing officer declining to participate. The hearing officer's final report and recommendation were delivered to the commission secretary on August 1st. The hearing officer recommended that Mr. Hoffman receive a lifetime suspension. The commission considered this matter at a meeting conducted pursuant to the judicial or quasi-judicial proceedings exemption of New York Public Officers Law, Section 108.1.
We did duly deliberate on this matter and came to a 5-0 vote to sustain the hearing officer's report and recommendation. So we go on to any items of any old business. Do we have any?
There are none on the agenda.
And new business to consider would be next.
No new business in there.
Okay. Well, traditionally, the commission meets on the fourth Monday of each month, which for October would be October 24th. We have several rules that expire on the 31st. Perhaps we'll consider a meeting date in proximity to that date. Ms. Buckley, will you please poll the members for the next potential date?
Sure.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public agenda. Do any commissioners have any other items they'd like to present? Hearing none, we'll consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.